Welcome back to another one of our videos. And as we said in the previous video, in this video, we will improve our handlers so that our index.js stays clean. And there is a separate file to register commands in all this so that our entire handler remains well managed. So let's get started. All right. So in this video, we are going to do everything event management, prefix commands handling / command handling. So yeah, let's start with that. First, we will create some folders inside our SRC folder. So first we will create a commands folder where we will create our / commands. After that, we will create an events folder where we will create our event files like interaction create, message create, and others. Then we will create a functions folder where we will create any functions if needed. And lastly, we will create a prefix commands folder where we will create our prefix commands. So now our handler structure is created, but just creating a / command or any event here won't do anything. We need to write code to make this handler fully functional. For every folder, we need to write separate code to handle it. So now let's go to the index.js file and remove all this mess. But don't worry, we will write all of it again, this time in a more managed way. So now, first of all, we want that when our bot runs, it should tell us in the console that the bot is now online. But this will not happen now because we have already removed that code. So as I told you, that ready is also an event, and it is triggered when the bot goes online, right? So for that, we will go to the events folder and create a file named ready.js. And you can keep any name for this file. It is not an issue, all right? And now we have to write code inside this file. But how should we write the code, and how will this file run when the bot starts, right? It will not run yet because we have not managed the events folder yet. So for that first, we will write code to manage the events. So we will go to the functions folder and create a file named handleevents.js. And now we will start writing code in this file. So we will write module.exports because in node.js, every file is called a module. So we are exporting this file so that we can use it in other files if needed. That is why. And then we will create an arrow function. Then I will take a client parameter here. And it means that when we use require in another file, we will get a function that will take the client as input. And then we write client.handleEvents equals another new async arrow function. And it will take two parameters, one named event files and the other path. Here we have created a new method inside the client object named handleEvents. And it is also an arrow function, which will take two arguments. One is the event files, and the other is the folder path. After that, we will use a for loop. So we will write for const file of event files and curly brackets. Here, the loop will run for every file inside it. We write const event equals require. And here, the path to the events folder, and then something like this file, because file name can be anything. So we are taking it like this. Now, this event files will give us all the files inside the events folder. And then using the loop, we are taking each individual file like this and loading the event file. After that, we simply write client.onEvent.name. And this event is the variable, and I will tell you ahead what this .name is. And then we write 3 dots and args inside brackets. Then arrow function and simply event.execute. And in this, also we write args. And client, the 3 dots and args means that whatever parameters are coming in, the event like interaction message, etc., they are being spread and passed to event.execute along with the client as well. All right. So I hope you understood this. If there is any confusion, I will clear it ahead. So now our work is not fully done. We have written the code for this file, which manages the events folder, but we still need event files and folder path here. And also this handleEvents.js file also needs to run when the bot goes online, right? So for that, now we go to index.js. So first of all, what we need is event files, right? So for that, I will write const event files. And here we will use the fs npm package. This reads our directory, meaning the folder. So if we want to use fs first, we need to define it. So we simply go here and write const fs equals require fs like this, and now we can use it. So now I will write fs dot reader_sync, and inside brackets I will give the directory we want to read. So for now, I will give the path of the events folder, and then we want files, not folders. So we write filter file, and then file dot ends with JS, and that's it. Now let me explain this line to you. So this fs is the file system module of node.js, and reader_sync is a function that returns the names of all files and folders inside a folder as an array. And here we gave the folder path in which we want all files and folders. So what it does is it gives us all the files in the events folder, like ready.js, messagecreate.js, or whatever is there. And after that, we do not want everything. We only want the files that are JavaScript files, right? So this part here filters the array, the same array that fs gives us. So it filters, and only those files will remain that end with JS, meaning if the folder has different files, like .text or .json, etc., we'll only choose JavaScript files and remove the rest.
All right, so before moving forward, let's also take the rest of the folders we created. I want all of you to do this yourself by pausing the video, because it will be exactly the same. You just have to take functions, commands, and prefix folders instead of the events folder. So now we also need the files inside the functions folder. So we will write const functions equals fs reader_sync and give the path of the functions folder, and then the same filter file arrowfile.js, and then the same for prefix folders. But for commands folder, it will be a little different for that. We will only write a small piece of code, and you may ask why. Because inside the commands folder, we will create more folders to manage /commands, which are called subfolders, like moderation folder, community folder, and so on. So for now, we only want the folders later. When we manage /commands, we will take the files from their subfolders for now. Let's leave it here. All right. And now, coming back to our events handling. So now we will write an async arrow function like this. This may seem a bit confusing, but it's really not. Believe me. So when we write a function like this and add 2 brackets, at the end, it means that the function will run automatically without needing to be called. So now imagine we wrote this in the index.js file, and the index.js file runs when the bot runs, because it is the main file. And when this file runs, this function written inside, it will also run. And now inside this function, we simply write the code that we want to run when the bot starts, like load functions files, login, the bot load events, and so on. So first of all, we want this handle events function that we created inside the handle events file to run. So we come here and write client.handle events. And the 2 arguments we need, the first one is event files, which we already fetched above using filter. So we pass that. And the second one is the folder path, which we also pass just like that. So I hope now you understand what will happen is that when we run the bot, it will run the index.js file. And when index.js runs, this function will run. And inside this function, we are calling client handle events. And when that runs, it will go into the handle events file, which is inside the functions folder, and it will run. And since we have handled all the events inside it, those files will also be executed and handled. Congratulations. We have successfully done event handling. But there is still one issue, which is that in index.js, here if you see, we wrote client handle events, but this handle events is in the functions folder, which we haven't managed or loaded yet. So right now, it is not available to us. So to make handle events and all files in the functions folder available, We will run a for loop here, just like we did in the handle events file. So here I will write for file of functions. And this functions is the one we defined above, and then simply use require and write it like this. So we are loading all the files in the functions folder. But if you look at handle events.js, we are also using client in it. So we have to pass it here as well. So to pass it, we simply add 2 brackets and pass client. And this client is the same one we defined earlier, so that's it. By doing this, client and handle events are now available to us and we are using them. And now after this, we simply write client.login and bring that inside the function. And then go to the ready.js file. And here we write module exports. And inside, that write name and the event name, which is ready. And then simply async, execute, and client, and then write console.log. The bot is now online. So let me explain this name and execute and why client was not coming earlier. If you go to handle events.js, you will see we wrote event.name. So event is this one, and what is this event? This is a file in our case. It is the ready.js file, so we said ready.js file.name. And it took the name we provided in ready.js, and from that, we got to know which event to execute. And then execute is this one. So we said ready.js file.execute. And that's it. I hope you understood now. If we run the bot, you will see that it prints. The bot is now online, and that means our event handling is working perfectly. All right, so now we will manage /commands registration. For that, we will first create a file in the functions folder named handlecommands.js. And inside this file, we will first define REST and routes. From discord.js, just like we did in our index.js, then we will also define fs. And after that, using module exports, we will create the same kind of arrow function where the argument will be client. And then using client handle commands, we will create another async arrow function that will take 2 arguments. One will be command folders and the other will be path. Then first we go to index.js. And here we need to create a collection where all our /commands will be stored. You can think of this as a storage box where we will save our /commands. And later, if we need to use them, we can access all /command information from this collection and even get the total number of /commands. So for that, we will write client.commands. And this client is the same one we already have. And commands is the name we are giving, and then equals new collection. And since we are using collection, we will define it above. And that's it. Our collection has been created, now coming back to handlecommands.js. We will create an array, just like we created the commands array in the last episode, where we stored all /commands, and then pass that array for registration. Similarly here, we will create an empty array with client.commandArray. The only difference is that now we will fetch commands from the commands folder instead of creating them here. So now this command folders gives us all the folders inside the commands folder. So we will run a loop to go through each folder. We will write for folder of command folders, and then const command files equals fs read dir sync, and give the path of the commands folder, and then the subfolder name. And after this, we get access to all subfolders inside the commands folder, and now we will use .filter to get only the files inside those subfolders, which are .js files. So we will filter like this, and now we have access to all folders inside the commands folder, and also the files inside those folders. Those files can be multiple, like ping.js, kick.js, ban.js, and many more. So now we will run a loop on those files so we can get the name description and other details of those commands in order to register them. So we write another for loop for const file of command files. And then first we will get that file, so we write const command equals require, and the path of the commands folder, then the subfolder, and then the file. Like this, we now have access to the individual command files like ping.js and others. And now we have to save this data inside the collection we created earlier, So we write client commands, which is our collection name, and then .set to save the command data. And then we write command.data.name. And this command is the one we required above. And this .data.name you will understand better later on. And then we pass the entire command there. And now we also need to give all this data to the command array for registration. So we write client.commandArray. And using the .push method, we push command.data to JSON and give all that data. Again, this data part will make more sense later. And then just like we did yesterday, we use REST to register commands. We just pass command array in the body, and that's it. Now your /commands registration is also handled cleanly. And now to run this file, we go to index.js, and just like we wrote client.handle events, we will write client.handle commands. And the arguments it needs are command folders and the path to the commands folder, that's it. All right, so now our /command and event handling is complete. But before moving forward, if I take you to handle commands.js, then I have made some mistakes, which I want to tell you. First of all, in our .env file, bot token is like this. So here you have to write the same, then remember to give the client ID, and then do not forget to put these two brackets. Otherwise, this part will not run all right. So now if we run our bot, you will see it goes online properly without any issue. Now the last thing left is our prefix handling. So let's quickly do that for this first. We will go to the events folder. And because whenever a prefix command runs, meaning whenever someone sends a message on Discord, the message create event triggers. So we created this folder for events. So we will go to the events folder and create a file named prefixcreate.js. And here, just like we made the ready event, we will do the same. We will module exports with name message create exactly the same, and then async execute with parameters message. And also we want client. So after message, we put a comma and take client, then open curly braces. Now first we define our prefix. You can keep any prefix you want for your bot. Then we put an if condition because the message create event triggers on every message. But we do not want that. We want it to trigger only if the message starts with our bot's prefix. So for that, we write if no message content starts with prefix, meaning if the message does not start with the prefix or message, author.bot, meaning if the message was sent by a bot, then return meaning do not proceed. All right, after this, we only want to pass the command, not the full content. I will explain. So if someone writes /ban, the whole message will be !ban, but we only want the word ban. So for that, we write const args, message content, slice prefix, length trim, and split something like this, meaning slice the message content from prefix length, then trim and split. All right. Now till here we have the command name. Now we want the command in lowercase, no matter how the user wrote it. So we write const command equals args shift dot to lowercase. So this will give us the content in lowercase now, just like we created a collection for /commands. You remember where we did that from there, we can get the commands and so on. Similarly now we want to get the prefix commands created by the user. So for that we write const prefix cmd equals client prefix get and inside brackets command. Here this client is the same as the one from index.js, and prefix is the collection name then. Get method is used to get something just like set is to set something. Then we said give the command from the collection, and then we write if prefix cmd, meaning if the command is found in the collection, then prefix cmd execute, and we pass 3 arguments, first client, then message, and then args. So this means if the command is found, execute it. But wait, how will the command be found? And even if the command exists, it still might not be found, because we have not yet created any collection for prefix commands. So quickly, we go to index.js, and just like we created a collection for /commands, we create client.prefix equals new collection for prefix commands too. All right, so we created the collection, but still we cannot use get because we have not added anything to the collection. So what will get do right? So for that, we go to index.js and take all the files from the prefix folder, then loop over those files and take the command name and the whole prefix command and add it to the collection. So for that here, I will write for file of prefix folders, and then create a variable const command require, and here give the path of the file, which we get like this. Then client dot prefix set command dot name, and the whole command something like this, just like slash commands, and that's pretty much it. And our whole handler is set. Now only a little bit is left in slash commands handling because we only manage registering slash commands, not interaction handling. So we will do that in a while, but before that, let's create and test a prefix command. All right, so now how will we make a prefix command? So to make a prefix command, we will go into the prefix folder that we made and create a new file, for example, ping.js. And inside it, first we will write module.exports, and after that name in which we will give the command name, you can also give other things like description and stuff, but right now, since we are not making something like a help command, we will only give the name ping and then async execute. And in that, the 3 arguments we gave before, we will give the same ones here, client message and args. So now we have client, we also have args, and we can also use client if needed. After that, we will simply open brackets and write message, reply, pong. That is it. Now if I go to Discord and type the prefix we had set, and then our command name and run it, you can see it is replying with pong. So if I show you in Visual Studio, this name, if it comes in index.js, then command.name. This is what we are using here and saving in collection, the command name, something like this. Hope you understood. All right, so now we make a slash command. So for that first, we will go into the commands folder and create a subfolder, like community. And inside this folder, we will make a file named ping.js, because we want to make a slash command. And to make a slash command first, we have to define the slash command builder. So I will do that quickly. After that, we will write module.exports. And here data and then something like new slash command builder. Now you understand that in handle commands.js file, where we wrote command.data, this is that. And this data gives us access to the whole command and saves it in collection. After that, same as before, we will use .setName to give command name and .setDescription to set description, and then same as prefix command, async, execute. And here, if interaction client is needed, we can give it like that, but for now, not needed. So only interaction and then interaction, reply pong. That is it now. If I go to Discord and refresh once, after making a new slash command so it loads, and now if I go and do slash ping, you can see that it is also showing the same as we made, but when running, it says application not responding, like it was in our previous video. And this happens because when slash command is run, the interaction create event is triggered, which we are not handling right now. So let us do that. But this time, instead of writing in index.js, we will make a separate file in the events folder named interactioncreate.js and handle it here. So here same, we will write module.exports, and in name give the event name, and in async execute, we will give interaction, and also client, and then because when clicking buttons also the interaction create event is triggered, and other things too, which we will learn later. But this file we are only making for handling slash command interactions, right? So for that here, we will write an if condition, so if not interaction, dot is command, return. Meaning if the interaction is not a command, then do not run the code further, and then we want the command that needs to run, right? So for that, we will now use collection of slash commands that we made. So we already set the commands in handle commands.js file. So to get them, we will write const command, client commands. Get interaction command, name something like this. So now we check if the command that was run is in the collection or not. And if it is not, then here we will say if no command return, and if it is then, continue. Like putting try and catch, and in try we write, if there is a command, then await command. Execute something like this. And the interaction and client that we gave in ping.is/command, we will give here as well. And then in catch we will handle errors simply like that. And now if I restart the bot and go to Discord and run the command, you will see it is working perfectly. Very, very cool. So now our full advanced handling package is ready. And now from here, we will start learning other things in a better way. Now our package is managed properly, and now it will be more fun. If you have any confusion, please join the Discord because we keep hosting many events, challenges, and giveaways there. So, yeah. And also, if you want to make your own custom bot, you can contact me on Discord. Do not forget to check out my Patreon too.